never mind.
I mean, I get it for the first, 2 dates.
I mean,
they had or
she's just
whatever.
kind of supposed to be like the normal person that he attempts to date, and then realizes that that's not going to be for him, and he's going to get with Adam and Eve, and they're going to make super babies.
Super duper babies. Him not getting raped, big mistake. That
comes later. That is still on the table.
Okay, well, I hope it happens.
You thought it was going to happen immediately? She was just going to come down and rape him right away? No, she came. That was just the introduction of that character. We will see her again. She was awesome, though. I mean, I thought that was...
She was fun.
And she's a babe.
Also, like, this is, like, probably the biggest cartoon right now, And I feel like the show is not... Like, the animation doesn't reflect that. Half the time. And that rubs me the wrong way. And Jesse didn't agree. He said he thought it looked great, but I'm watching it like this freaking sucks.
What looks bad?
Just any of it, dude. I don't think it looks as good as it could look.
You thought the second I thought it looked exactly the same.
I thought it looked sort of mostly the same, but
I think
it took
I think you're
3 years.
Crazy.
It took 3 years to do the show. There's only 8 episodes, and we had to wait 3 months to get the other 4. And this is the animation we get, you know what I mean?
I did not think the animation
I wasn't
was bad.
vibing with
I
it.
think you're completely nitpicking it now at this point.
I'm just saying. You get all that money and this is what we get.
It was fine. Yeah, it was excellent. It was exactly the same quality as the first season. The animation was exactly the same.
I know, but like, everybody's watching the show. Can we not bump it up a little?
Bump it to what? Specifically? Like what? What does that mean?
Have you watched any recent anime?
No, I'm not gay.
Dude, the
announcement system test. Freedom. Democracy.
Got him!
Don't even.
How are you gonna recover from that, dude? How are you gonna recover? You can't. Where do you go? Where do you go from here? Where do you go from here?
Just ignore it and keep pushing.
All right.
But like the frames they draw per second, like they'll have 4 different drawn things per second in some of these episodes during the fight scenes. Like that's how much effort they're putting in. And this is like every 3 seconds, dude. There's one draw per second, dude. It's ridiculous. And I'm sure that is nitpicky, but like I don't know, like I just feel like whenever your show makes
do you know that for a fact though? Do you actually know for a fact what the frames per second was of this?
No. I'm just watching.
And is that necessarily better? Is more frames per second like objectively better?
For sure. Let me just say this: like if 2 characters standing talk to each other, it doesn't matter. The frames per second could be nothing. It could just be one still image. The guy's covering his mouth. You know where they joked about how they cut corners in animation and all that. Yeah. I'm 100% fine with cutting corners, but you cut corners so you can make other things better. And I thought they just cut corners and then made everything else the same. You're probably right. That is probably a nitpicking. But I'm just,
I really do not see the cutting the corners. I like the art style. I think like it's intentional the way it looks. I don't see it as being like bad. I don't know if like more frames per second makes it look better.
Like at one point, like
and you also don't know for a fact like what the frames per second are.
No, I don't know it, but like an example I'll give you is whenever he kills that guy and he's got blood all over him, his face is like mostly like uncovered. Because at one point he wipes it away, or he doesn't wipe it away, but it's just uncovered for some reason. I think while he was flying, it kind of flew off of him or whatever. And then he takes his blood-soaked hands and like kind of puts them on his face, and then nothing changes about his face. And I'm like, that's a perfect time to just like have blood cover across his face. Yeah. Because he freaks out right after that, like, oh, I got blood all over me.
There's definitely.
So why not use that moment? And so I just don't know why they didn't take,
I don't know,
some manpower and put to freaking making that scene more impactful.
I think I think overall you're analyzing it too much. Like you're actually doing yourself a disservice here.
Perhaps.
Have you I mean, does it sound reasonable, dude?
Peyote?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We asked you what you think about his analysis. I'm saying that I feel like he's overanalyzing it to a detriment to himself and his ability to enjoy the show.
Just like the whole frames per second thing?
And it just what he just said about the whole like.
Well, get rid of frame per second. Like mostly just animations. Like they're just not really trying, in my opinion. I don't think they're really pushing it.
I think frames per second is much more important in gaming than watching something. I mean, yeah, it makes a difference, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm biased because I'm like so mellow. Like I just like whatever's not gonna bother me either way.
Do me a favor, Payne, and binge both seasons of Invincible, like preferably tomorrow, and get back to us.
All right.
Get back to us by tomorrow night if you can just like not sleep. Then we have access to some
Just fill us
Adderall
in
or
on what you
something.
think. And if we bring up the frames per second,
I will declare
let's just say
defeat.
I'm be happy.
I will admit defeat. I will say.
If you say the animation could be better, just when you watch the second season, remember that this season was like took 4 years for them to make it, and it's like billions and millions and millions of dollars.
But it took that long because there was the delay. Like there was a writer strike. That's why it took so long.
I think they had the script before the writer strike happened.
No, That's why there was delay. That's why they had to
also,
stop.
what do you need writers for? The show's already written. It's a comic book. What do you need writers for, dude?
You obviously you are adapting the comic to the show. Like clearly the show is not a frame for frame shot of the comic. You know that. It's not even close. Like a lot of things.
Let me ask you this: have you watched Young Justice?
Say it again.
Young Justice. Young Justice. Now the first 2 seasons of that is what I call animation perfection, dude. Not only does it look great, but the story's great.
Have you seen this thing? Do you know what he's talking about, Payne?
You know what I'm talking about? Come on, guys. Now this show is actually for children, but like, the story's way better.
That's probably why you liked it.
Oh, shut up. The story's way better. Dude, you want to know something really funny? This is actually something I can rant about for a second. So this show is the best show probably ever, dude. Nah, it's obviously not that, but Young Justice. It's unbelievably well-adapted cartoon.
Okay.
It's based off the comic book Young Justice. It's where the comic book is like all the humans, all the adults disappear because of some magic, and so young superheroes have to take the lead. So Superboy and Robin and these kind of characters. In the show, they're just like a covert team that the side they kind of get upset that they're just the sidekicks and they want to kind of be more than that. And so finally they kind of throw a fit enough to where the Justice League makes a small team called Young Justice, and they're like a covert ops team. So they'll just kind of go in and investigate stuff, but it always goes sideways and stuff happens. It always goes sideways.
Right.
And some real action would happen. And it's it's like a small cast, like 6 or 7 characters. They're all great and wonderful. The writing's great. The character introduction great. Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad. They're not afraid to kill major characters off. It's just good and it's fun.
Right. Yeah.
And it's dramatic. And the relationships in the show, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's got to be high. I've never checked, but it's got to be high. And like even we have Amber and Mark in this, like the relationships and what's it say?
I'm saying 8.6 on IMDb out of 10.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
And that's probably because of the later seasons, and I'll get to that in a second. And it's a kid show, remember? So like there's like a mild blood and there's kind of adult themes, but it's cheek and tongue, it's kind of like it's just really good. It's really great. The relationships are way better too. So like, we have Amber and Mark, and it sucks. We're all like, get over this. But in this show, like all the relationships are really kind of fun and interesting, and you root for them. Anyways, great show. Season 2 happens. A great season, but they put a lot of money into toys, and nobody bought the toys, and so they had to cancel the show. And then because everybody loved it, finally years later it came back on HBO Max as like a streaming show. But the director's like, now that our audience has kind of grown up and we're on streaming, we can do more with it. And so like everybody's like, okay, so this can be violence and things like that. And there's a lot more blood in it and stuff like that. But dude, I've never seen a show go more woke in my life. It went so woke, it's insane. And I'm talking
Young Justice did?
Yeah, dude. I'm talking major characters are now gay.
Okay.
I'm talking major characters are now in a throuple. The chick is pregnant by one of the dudes.
You hate to see this.
I'm talking literally one of the characters gets depressed and he gets a comfort animal that he carries around all the time. Literally, dude. I'm talking they create a Mary Sue. She's not super Mary Sue, but she basically is. and she's the Mary Sue of all
Okay.
marginalized characters.
Hold on, you just said it's the greatest show ever. So how could this be?
The first 2 seasons are amazing.
The last.
And
you're saying the last 2 seasons
only-
are where it went awry.
The last 2 seasons are just the story's okay because it's the same writers, but somebody on their team was just like, no, we got to go woke and go broke or whatever.
Yeah.
Literally, they have a Mary Sue of diversity she's like, I guess she's Arab or whatever. She's a Muslim, but she's not actually a Muslim, but she wears a hijab because it feels right. She's non-binary. She's bisexual. She's dating a dude, and by the way, they make it a whole point. They're like,
a non-binary bisexual.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not a. Buddy, you have to say that. It's all different, dude. It could be anything.
I know.
And she literally says in the show, they do the whole like cartoon child.
I went to.
I'm a girl.
I
don't feel like a girl or a boy, so I'm dating them.
I went to.
No problem.
Dude, trust, dude. I went to a graduate program in a social science major. I mean, I get it. I'm totally. I know all about this stuff. Yeah.
And it's not even like I'm not even biased, dude. They did it for everything. They even did it with Christianity. Okay, so you know Dr. Fate. So his thing is like a big golden cross.
I don't actually, but
like
it just.
Okay, he's like Doctor Strange but for DC. Dr. Fate.
Okay.
He's got a big giant gold cross that has like kind of circle tips, so it looks different than like Jesus or whatever. Anyways, but Dr. Fate himself is a helmet that somebody has to wear, and then he imbues them, and then he takes over their body and does stuff.
Right.
And he's talking to this guy, and Dr. Fate's talking to the guy that he's controlling the body of, and he's been controlling this guy's body for quite a while. And he's asking the guy he's controlling the body of, like, I don't understand why this random kid is so religious or whatever. Right? That's how stupid and terrible this show is. The kid's like Muslim or something. He does the whole prayer and everything, dude. It's in the show.
And
then like, the guy he's controlling then goes, he's like, I forget his line, but basically what he says is like, how do you think I've been able to bear being imbued with your power so long or whatever? Like, deal with like the mental aspects of it.
Sure.
And then a giant cross that like Jesus would have been hung on appears behind him, and he does the Lord's Prayer. It is so shoved down your mouth, it's insane. Even the good stuff, the good religions are shoved down your throat so hard, it's insane, dude.
Out of nowhere. It was like out of context.
Literally out of nowhere. This guy who's never said he was anything is just like, oh yeah, I'm a Catholic, and let me do the Lord's Prayer real quick. What? Huh? And the guy, by the way, is a magician. His powers are like magic. You know what I mean?
Which is heresy.
Absolutely. He's going to hell, for sure.
For sure.
And then there's like, there's 1,000 other examples I could give you. Just like random stuff they do, and you go, what? What are we doing?
Okay. Bit of a tangent, but I guess let's bring it back to Invincible. So what would you rate the first season of Invincible?
First season is a solid 9 for sure.
Yeah, I would give it like a 9.5. I just think it's I
really
thought it was front to back tremendous. I mean, I'm not gonna give it a 10 because I don't know if it's perfect, but I honestly can't even name a fault. So I would say 9. So how about the second season?
Second season is like a 7.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I still think it's really good. Like I said, I think if you're expecting it to be like the first season, I think it wasn't that. The point of this season was really to explore this issue with Mark and wondering, this fear of him becoming like his father. And that I think is going to be important. That's going to build. Remember, we have like many seasons of this show to go.
Yeah.
I think and honestly, like the show is probably, it was definitely not served well by the gap in the middle of the season. I think they kind of threw everybody off and really just messed up the viewing experience. Like I forgot about the show and then realized it. So it just kind of messed up the flow and probably made it seem worse than it was. So it might.
You're probably right about that.
I mean, I might rewatch it and sit down and actually watch the episodes without interruption. I may feel like it's a 9, but like with that weird interruption, it's just like how that kind of dampened the viewing experience. Like
another thing
8.5.
Another thing that kind of messed with me a little bit is at an earlier episode they do the Egyptian god thing or whatever,
Yeah.
And they kind of solve it and get away or whatever. And then in this episode, 2 chicks find it, and then a sandstorm happens, and then that's it, and it's the last episode, and so we're gonna have to wait an entire season for
obviously we're gonna
a
see them
small,
again.
insignificant. I know, but it's like a small, insignificant thing that nobody's gonna remember that they set up in the last episode of the season.
You do remember it though, because you just talked
I
about
don't.
it.
When it happened, when they went in there, I couldn't even remember.
Yeah.
A Pharaoh thing happening. I didn't even remember that. I talked to just about. He didn't remember it either.
I mean, it does seem a little weird to introduce something without providing, and then to not advance that at all in the season that it was introduced.
That should be like the opening scene of the next season or something like that, and then you do whatever in the next
like I said,
episodes.
I mean, you just know at some point next season where this was going to come back around, and I think, I mean, well, think about it. In the first season, we kind of got a touch of the Martians, right? And that guy coming back, and then they left that, and then they got brought up again in season 2.
Sure.
So it's probably just like a smaller example of that. I mean, you can think of it as like the way the Martians were set up in the first season. Like I don't mind that. It did seem kind of short. Like maybe one more sequence about that would have been nice, but
Also, like, were we supposed to know who those ladies were?
No, they were just. I think again, it was just starting to introduce that story. They were random characters, and then, I mean, we will hear more about them because clearly they've been possessed or something has happened.
I gotta step away for 1 second and do some laundry.
Yeah, I'm gonna pee and then we'll start this mission. And I'm gonna clip that podcast.